Good morning to all of you.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, doctor.
Okay, let's start today's lecture, and we'll be start with
Doctor, excuse me.
yes,
Doctor, I have a question.
yes,
Previous chapter.
yes.
In slide 10, you can show
Which one?
chapter 3, slide 10.
Yes, tell me.
Doctor, slide 10 about non-typical cell wall.
This one, right?
Yes, doctor. About
Yeah.
what, doctor? I don't understand it.
Okay. Usually, all microbes have a cell wall. Is not it?
Yes,
You
doctor.
understand? And there is always exception. You will find some exception in all life form. So when we are saying, for example, all have cell wall, there will be organism those don't have cell wall, or something like little bit of modified form of cell wall. So here in the case of Mycobacterium, it's also mentioned there is a different kind of cell wall is present. And in the mycoplasma, usually there is no specific cell wall, and the cell wall that is called, or whatever is present is usually stabilized by sterols, and the exact chemical composition that usually present in other form is usually absent in few microbes. Okay, so here in the case of this mycobacterium, this mycolic acid cofactor is in the extra factor, and it need acid fast stain rather than other staining procedure due to different cell wall composition. And here in the case of this mycoplasma also, that shape and size get changed. Sometimes not maybe the size, the shape, because there is no specific structured cell wall. You got it? Hello?
Yes, doctor. So when there is no cell wall
That
in
is in
micro,
the, yeah, no, there is always cell wall, but sometimes you may get maybe 0.01% microbes, there will be no cell wall, but 99.99% microbes you will find. Okay.
okay.
So when we speak about science, there is one small sentence. Science has its own limitation. Everything has limitation. Whatever we are thinking or saying, nothing is absolute. Nothing is
Yes,
absolute.
yes, yes, doctor. What about microic acid and this point behind microbe about the microbacteria characteristic or what?
Yes, yes. The presence of mycolic acid is the main characteristic factor of this mycobacterium.
Okay, doctor. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. So let's start with the growth. So as you all of know, it need proper environment to grow and to finish the life cycle of any organism. Oh my God. Still students are joining. So it needs a specific environment, the temperature, the pressure, the humidity, the oxygen, the non-oxygen, the amino acid, glucose, micronutrient, macronutrient, all these factors are necessary for the proper growth and development of any organism. So what are the bacterial environment? Bacteria, you can find bacteria anywhere. So bacteria live in many environment and differ in their nutritional requirement. So different bacteria live in different places and their food requirement is also different. As different animals have different food requirement. For example, the herbivore eats only grass, the human eat vegetables, meat, all these things. Like that, bacteria also require a different nutritional requirement. Why it is important to know what is the growth requirement of a bacteria? If we will know the growth requirement, how, where, and when the bacteria can be able to grow, it will be very beneficial for us to make them grow in the laboratory as per our own choice and place and time. So if we will know the if we will know the growth requirement parameters, we can easily say which bacteria can grow at which time point and at what nutritional requirement. So we can make them grow in our own laboratory or in our own required places, laboratory or in the medical or. So how bacteria grow? Previously we mentioned in the slide at the first lecture that when I discussed about the difference between prokaryote and eukaryote, bacteria grow by binary fission, but the eukaryote grow by either mitosis, that is somatic cell division, and by meiosis, that is this germinal cell division. To make the bacteria grow efficiently, it requires the right substances and conditions to synthesize new compounds for the new cell. For example, if one bacteria want to grow from one cell to another or want to divide, it needs its genetic material, it needs its all other cellular component. For example, it needs this sometimes the ribosomes, the genetic material and other genes and all the components it need to synthesize so that there will be equal distribution when the cell get divide. And the generation time of bacteria vary between the strain and between the different genus or between different species or with the different growth media and environmental condition. So how you can decide that a bacteria can grow at which time, how much time it will require to grow? It totally depends upon the type of bacterial genus, type of bacterial species, bacterial strains, and availability of the growth media and favorable environmental condition like temperature, pH of the medium, pressure, and humidity. and sometimes the bacterial growth is exponential, which we will explain later. So if you will see, this is one cell, bacterial cell, and this is its genetic content. So before bacteria undergo division by binary fission, this DNA, circular DNA, will undergo replication. So it will make another circular DNA of same copy. Then the cell will undergo elongation. So cell will get stretched little bit. Once that gets stretched, so there will be formation of one septum in the middle. Once septum formation happens, this replicated genetic material will be shifted to each cell. Then the wall formation will be completed and separation of the two cell will happen. So this kind of cell division happens in the bacteria. So first it will start with the replication. So replication is formation of a copy of one genetic material is called as replication. For example, if there is one sequence, if you want to make it another, this process is called as replication and a DNA replication. So when there will be two copy, these two copy will separate into two cell once the septum formation will happen, and this genetic the similar genetic material will be transferred to two different cell, and the formation of two cell happens like this. So dear student, I would like to ask you to put your student ID number in the chat box so that I can collect the attendance of you. So in the chat box, who is attending the lecturer, please put your lecturer ID. So that yeah, that's great. Yes. Thank you. So when a bacteria grow, we divide the bacterial growth into 4 different phases. One is called lag phase. The second is called the exponential phase or logarithmic phase. Third is called the stationary phase, and fourth is called the death phase. You understand this, students?
Yes, doctor.
Okay. So there is always growth, but the growth we can say we can divide the growth into 4 different stages. One is lag phase, one is exponential phase, another is stationary phase, and one is death phase. And how this happen, I will explain here. So when we are growing any bacteria in the laboratory or medical lab, we put some bacteria in the growth media, and for few time those cell need to adjust to the environment. Environment means the temperature, the pressure, the nutrient, whatever provided in the medium, they need to adjust. Once they are adjusted, they will start to grow slowly. So this slow we'll find from here little the start phase. So this slow phase will not find more bacterial growth. So once this slow phase over, the bacteria growth explodes like this, boom. So this is called as exponential phase. This is called exponential phase, or you can say logarithmic phase. Once now there are a lot of bacteria in the media or culture plate. So when there are a lot of media in the a lot of bacteria or microbes in the culture plate, they need lot of energy, and so when there are a lot of microbes, they consume all the nutrients present in the media. So when they consume all the nutrients in the media, there is no further nutrient left in the media for their further growth. So what happened? They stay in the stationary phase. When the nutrient of the media finish, the bacteria remain in the stationary phase for few time. So again, there is no further media. So when there all the energy finishes, all the stored energy they have generated from the nutrient present in this phase get finished, the bacteria start to die because there is no further energy to sustain the life. So they start to die and this became decline or death phase. You are getting my point?
Yes.
Yes, doctor.
Do anybody have doubt?
No.
And kindly remember this. This graph. This graph is you will find the similar graph in the case of enzymology. If anybody is studying biochemistry or enzymes, you will find same type of graph in the enzyme also. In the first stage, enzyme need time for activation, then they get immediately activated, and their reactant get consumed and result the product. Then when the reactant finish, the reaction stops. So if anybody is studying biochemistry or enzymology, you will find the similar curve in the enzymology also. That is also lag phase, exponential phase, stationary phase, and that is not death phase. Here it's mentioned as a decline phase, like this.
Doctor, what difference between the green and red line?
No, there is not different. There are two different. I mean, this is just a sketch. Okay. I can plot only single graph also. This is from the book, so it's copied. There is nothing else such. You get it?
Yes, doctor.
Instead of two, I can put one like this, or you can put three also for three different bacteria. If you are growing three different bacteria, you can get three different curve. All curve will not same, because if some will start to grow from here immediately, then it will come like this. Some will start from here, it will come like this, go like this, come like this also. So as I told, there are different phases, and here I will explain why lag phases. So when new bacteria are inoculated into a fresh medium, growth begins after a period of time called the lag phase. Then everybody needs sometimes, I mean every life form or living organism need little bit of time for their further growth, and this period is called as lag phase. But if bacteria in the exponential phase are transferred into new cultures of similar constituent, lag phase does not occur and growth start immediately. If you are taking the same microbes from the exponential phase and putting in the same media, same kind of media with similar constituent and similar environmental condition, there will be no lag phase, and they will start immediately their further growth because they have already crossed the lag phase. But if the exponential phase bacteria or microbes are transferred from rich medium to poor medium, again there will be lag phase because there is a lack of nutrient and other factors, because cell requires time to make the enzymes that are essential for synthesis of some compounds for adaptation, because when there will be no nutrition or very poor nutrition, the cell feels stress, so they need adaptation. So on that time bacteria feels whether I need to adapt or I need to go for dormancy. If there will be severely nutrient lack condition, bacteria will start the formation of endospore like this. So it need to decide. That's why they again enter into the lag phase if there is very less nutrient. But if bacteria transferred from stationary phase to new culture, lag phase again occurs. Because in the stationary phase, as I told, when there will be lack of nutrient in the media, the stationary phase happens. So again, from if bacteria from stationary phase will take for further culture, again the lag phase will occur.
Doctor,
Yeah.
Doctor, what do you mean rich medium and poor medium? That mean there is a more energy in rich medium?
Medium, not like that. For example, we have given some food to any organism. For example, if we have pet in house, we given food, so it finished eating the food. You understand? So there is no further food. So we are calling that is nutrient poor. Means there is no nutrient, only this liquid will be there.
That's mean rich medium there is a more food.
Rich medium means that is absolute condition that cell need for their growth and development up to certain limit. For example, if we have half liter of growth medium, and if we want to culture 5 gram or 10 gram of bacteria, we cannot, because those will be trillions of bacteria. We cannot grow trillions of bacteria in 500 ml tube. You got it?
Yes, doctor. Thank you.
Okay, that's good. So what about log phase? In the log phase, bacterial cells are healthiest, and exponential phase is the best phase for studying the biology of bacteria because of the expression of many of the molecules that are required for cell growth. So during the exponential phase of the bacterial growth, all the enzymes and genes are expressing at the optimum level, and all the molecules required for the bacterial cell are at the optimum. So it's very good to study any microbiological study at the exponential stage, and stationary and death phase. So I already told about the stationary phase. Stationary phase occurs because of lack of nutrient, because they already have consumed the nutrient, so nothing is left in the media. And another thing is that accumulation of toxic compound in the media. So if there is microbes growing in the media, they also release some these enzymes into the media, these extracellular enzymes. So those enzymes remain accumulated in the media. So when there will be lot of such kind of compounds, sometimes it became toxic to themselves also. So this stationary phase also not a good phase for the bacteria for any biological study, because they are already under the nutrient limiting conditions, and might be encountered with the presence of toxic compound released by themselves. And this stationary phase is essential in preventing excessive bacterial growth in the environment. So if we can maintain the stationary phase, we can limit or prevent the excessive bacterial growth in the environment, which is not so easy, but in the text and literature we can say like this. After the stationary phase, the death phase usually occurs after a while, but is slower than the cell growth. The death phase is comparatively slower than the cell growth, and this death phase comes after the stationary phase. So what are the requirements for their growth? Obviously there is a requirement of oxygen for energy production. We know oxygen, we need oxygen for energy production, is not it? Dear students, I can see there are 33 attendants, but all of have not posted their ID here. So please do post your ID to confirm your attendance, because I cannot see all of the ID. It's maybe 27 or 28. So as we need oxygen for our life, there are also bacteria that needs oxygen for their growth and development and maintaining the life form. So those bacteria which require oxygen and who cannot live without oxygen are called as obligate aerobes. Obligate aerobes means the necessary of oxygen is mandatory. Without oxygen they cannot grow. So those are called obligate aerobes. So bacteria that strictly require oxygen to be present in the environment. Another is obligate anaerobes. There are certain bacteria which cannot grow in the presence of oxygen. Those are called obligate anaerobes, and strictly required oxygen to be absent from the environment, because oxygen kill them. Some are aero-tolerant anaerobes. Some are anaerobes, means they need not oxygen, but oxygen don't able to harm them. Some are facultative anaerobes. For the facultative anaerobes, oxygen is not necessary but can be utilized if available in the environment. The facultative anaerobes are such organisms, they need not oxygen for their life, for their growth, but they utilize the oxygen if they find the oxygen. So there is they are very dangerous form of organism. They need not, but when they will find, they will capture. Yeah, I got it. And they will use it. Fewer microaerophiles means they require very low level of oxygen. But if there will be high level of oxygen, they will be get killed or they will die. Why oxygen? Can, can anybody tell why oxygen is necessary for the growth?
For metabolism, for energy.
Yes. Oxygen is necessary for energy production. Got it? I mean, from ATP, adenosine triphosphate, we need to get the energy. So for breakdown of ATP, we need oxygen. Okay. For the case of obligate aerobes and also these facultative anaerobes. But in the case of obligate anaerobes, they need not oxygen. They have different system to produce their energy in the absence of oxygen. And one typical quiz question I can say that is not related to your microbiology. The oxygen do oxidation and reduction. Oxidation means damage, whatever in the cell damage, and this oxygen produces oxide free radicals. Why this obligate anaerobes need not oxygen? Because if they will come in the exposure of oxygen, they will die, because oxygen will oxidize this bacteria. And how oxidize this oxygen will lead to produce of H2O2 superoxide, that is superoxide dismutase, like this. So when they will produce this kind of free radicals, they will harm the cell. So therefore for the organism, for example, including human, from the starting of the cell, an organism is developed, it start getting oxidation through the development phase. Because the day one life form is born, it lead to its fate to the death through the process of oxidation. For example, if we will not use oxygen, human will not use oxygen for our energy, our lifetime might be get doubled, because our body will not oxidize, will not get wrinkled, our face during the old age. We will be look ever young. So these are all the cases of presence of oxygen in the environment, and our body uses the oxygen. But if we would be either facultative anaerobes. Even human would be facultative anaerobes. It will be very good because when they need oxygen, use it, otherwise leave it. Without oxygen, we can live. So these are different kinds of environmental and oxygen requirement condition for bacteria. So obligate aerobes grow near oxygenated zone. So those microbes require oxygen. They grow in the oxygen area. I mean, those region which has oxygen, and they will never grow which don't have oxygen. And obligate anaerobes grow away from the oxygenated zone. Those need not oxygen. They will never grow where there will be oxygen. Facultative anaerobes can grow in the presence or absence of oxygen in the media. They grow better in the presence of oxygen. The facultatives, they need not oxygen, but if they get oxygen, they use it, and in the laboratory condition, they grow better if there will be oxygen. These microaerophiles require low concentration of oxygen and grow away from most oxic environment. These microaerophiles bacteria, they feel better to grow in the region where there will be no oxygen or very less oxygen. And aerotolerant anaerobes grow throughout the tube or everywhere. I mean, those microbes can tolerate the oxygen. So if we will make this is a sketch for the example. If this is the oxygen zone, you will find this kind of A. If you will see A aerobe, obligate aerobe will grow here. The B obligate anaerobes will grow here. It will not grow here because there is oxygen. It will kill. The C facultative, you see, it grow better near the oxygen region, but it can grow also in the region where there is no oxygen. Microaerophiles, they need little oxygen. Some will grow, but usually they need not. But the aerotolerant, they will grow better here. But if there is no oxygen also, they will grow like this. So these are the typical characteristic how a microorganism grow in the presence or absence of oxygen in the environment.
But doctor, excuse me, in D?
Yes.
In D, that the picture show the bacteria grow in oxic zone, not away from oxic environment.
Microaerophiles. Micro means little oxygen or air. So
yes, doctor, but bacteria that picture show in oxic zone grow.
Yeah, they will grow better here. Grow away from most oxic environment. Grow away. If this is oxic, they are growing away, far away. But if a little bit of oxygen is there, it's fine for them. Okay.
Okay.
So cell growth and division requires the synthesis of many building blocks in an energy requiring process. So if a bacteria cell or animal cell or whatever cell needs its growth, they need a lot of energy for synthesis of their genetic material, synthesis of protein to make the new cell. and also a different level of oxygen requirement, because depending upon the requirement of oxygen, the enzymatic process will progress. And depending upon the organic compound of the bacteria present in the growth medium, they are called as chemoorganotrope, chemolithotrope, phototrope, and autotrope. The chemoorganotrope bacteria, they require and utilize organic compound such as sugars and amino acids to produce the energy. Chemolithotrope bacteria that utilize organic molecule such as bacteria that utilize inorganic molecule such as hydrogen and iron and or sulfur, you can say, to produce the energy. Litho means from here the term you can say organo means organic compound. Organic compound, it is sugar and amino acid. Litho is kind of stones or metal. So from that term you can speculate chemolithotropes that needs metallic source for energy, that is iron, H2. H2 is not a metallic gas, and also sulfur like this. Phototropes. Some bacteria are able to utilize sunlight to produce ATP. So, but in the absence of chlorophyll also. So there are also bacteria which can produce energy from the sunlight, and few are called as autotrophs. Those autotrophs can directly use carbon dioxide from the environment to produce complex organic compounds such as sugars. So just like plants, there are some bacteria which can produce sugar, glucose kind of molecule, using the carbon dioxide. Did you got this? Or anybody have any doubt? Hello?
No, doctor, thank you.
No, doctor, no questions.
Okay, that's good. We already have gone through this. So how we can grow bacteria in the laboratory? Either by liquid culture, by solid culture. In the liquid culture, we need to provide some nutrient, for example, amino acid, vitamins, sugars, and put in water and mix it and make it soluble, and put some bacteria to grow there. So this is called as liquid culture. In the solid culture, we bring the bacteria and make the media, and in the nutrient media we put some gelling agent that is called agar. And when we will put this gelling agent in the media, it will solidify the media and it will become solid culture. But both the liquid and solid culture contain essential element for the growth of bacteria. These essential elements are classified into macronutrients or micronutrients and growth factors. So do all of you know the difference between macronutrients and growth factors? Should I tell, or you know about this? Hello?
About what, doctor?
About the macronutrients,
Mm-hmm.
micronutrients, and growth factors.
Macronutrients and micro, we know.
Okay.
Growth
The
factors?
okay.
You mean the conditions? Or what?
No, growth factors can be a few different things.
Can be what?
Like temperature, humidity, doctor?
Yes, like this. So,
Conditions.
humidity,
Like
environmental
moisture.
conditions, and the pH of the media, and
Agar, you mean agar?
sorry,
Agar, she said.
Yeah.
no, agar is not a growth factor. Or sometimes in the if we call it in the animal cell science, growth factors are hormones or growth regulators. Here it is a little bit different. It comes in the micronutrients. This might be vitamins, this riboflavins, nickel, selenium, magnesium, all those are micronutrients. And growth
Doctor,
factors, yes.
what's mean gelling agent? About
Uh,
agar as gelling agent.
Gelling agent, you see, this is liquid in the tube. Can you see?
Yes, doctor, yes.
Okay. So if we will put agar, there is one chemical, it is called agar,
Yeah.
and we will boil it and autoclave it, okay,
Yes.
and put in this kind of plate. So when it will cool down, it will become solid, not like liquid. It will become solid like this.
Okay.
So agar is called a gelling agent. It makes gel-like structure. If you will give lot of agar, it will be very hard. So if you increase, it will
Doctor,
be
what's
very.
the best environment for growth? Liquid culture or solid or both?
It's depend upon your requirement, what you want to do. For example, you want to extract some genetic material from bacteria, then liquid culture is good, because this you will take and centrifuge, the bacterial cell will settle here. You throw the water and put the chemical to extract the DNA or RNA. But from the solid culture, you have to pick little, or you will have to scratch. And when you will scratch, this media will also come out. Just to see uh, antibiotic resistant test and all these things growth. The solid culture is done, but for laboratory grade production and extraction of something, if you want to extract metabolite or vitamins, we need liquid culture. In all the industry, its liquid culture is preferred, because we uh, need to grow them in the fermenter for production of vitamins and a lot of other metabolites. But to see a bacteria or find a bacteria, for example, one from diseased person, in medical they use the solid culture, because even if for example, this when you are carrying the plate somewhere, it fall down, it will, you will not lose anything. Even if the plate will break down, you will find the bacteria. But in the case of if you are taking a tube and in the hospital microbiology culture, and if mistakenly you drop the tube, your all the experiment gone, you cannot produce a report for the patient. So that's why in the medical, they preferred solid culture over the liquid culture, and in the industry it's preferred liquid culture, because previously we also told that they release some toxic chemical to the in this media. The toxic chemical can be toxic for them, but it can be very beneficial for us for biotechnological application. So when this chemical will be in the liquid, it will be very easy for us to isolate. So for large scale study, it need liquid culture, and for small scale study, solid culture is good. Okay, students. So today we will stop here. It's already 11:51. So next we will continue from here, macronutrients and micronutrients. Is it fine?
Yes, doctor, thank you.
Yes, thank you, Doctor.
Okay, and please put your attendance ID who has not put yet, and it will be important for all of you. I think everybody has done, and who has left, it will be considered as absent. Thank you, but I can see there was already 33 attendance. Anyway, thank you very much, and see you in next class.
See you, Doctor.
See you.
See you.